Yeah, okay. Okay, talking about that, you see, typically Singaporeans,
Yep.
I want to specify a little bit more, like especially for Malay
Mm,
community,
mm, mm,
what we see upon graduation, be it from secondary school, ITE or poly,
mm.
what we do next step is to look for a job
Yep.
or start to build a career in Singapore.
Mm, mm.
But for you, you took a different path altogether. And I
Yep.
wonder, is this something that you foresee yourself when you're very young? What is it?
Not
Tell
at
us more.
yeah, not at all. Then actually, yeah, I did really badly in school last time because of rugby. I mean, I didn't did badly, but I wasn't the smartest of the lot in school because I was playing rugby every other day. And then yeah, then I went to NS. That's when I realized that okay lah, education is important. You need to. I mean, I was fortunate I have NS to really take that 2 years away from like the world, right? Because you're just doing something random, right? Cannot be random lah. But you can reflect over your life and say, okay, what do I want to do after that 2 years? And I think that's when I decided, okay, enough time to play already. Now time to make myself a career. And then I think that's when I like to read because what else can you do at night, right?
True.
Read or talk out. I mean, that's usually what you do. So that's why I think I developed my habit for reading, and then eventually, I just like to learn things. I just like to learn new things. I don't know why, and I think it's very important today that we always keep learning new things. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
If I mean, I kind of know your family members
Mm-hmm.
already. Okay, we went to your house for Hari Raya, get
Yeah.
to know your parents and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that we worked together for several years. So what I'm saying is that there's like this working or studies to overseas is
Mm-hmm.
like as if part of your family values. Is it
Um,
right?
I think it's so I think I must first acknowledge that I'm very very fortunate. I think going overseas, not many people have the opportunity, and I think I'm very thankful for that. It has nothing got to do with me, you know. It's everything got to do with my parents, to give me the opportunity. If it's me alone after NS, I can't even pay. If my mother put a rent in my room, I don't even think I can pay, you know. So I was very fortunate that my parents did save up when they were younger and they could send me overseas. So yeah, I think yeah. So and I think my siblings got the opportunity also. And I think that's the reason why after my graduation, I first came back. I decided to work in the social service sector. Yeah, because I wanted to give back. I think it's privilege. It's a privilege. It's definitely not an entitlement for me, but it's a privilege that I have, and I'm very fortunate. Yeah, and it's got nothing to do with me.
Mm,
Yeah, so I
mm,
call it the yellow ribbon of education. I think that's me because because I'm given a second chance. To be really honest, if I stay in Singapore, it'd be very tough to go down
yeah.
this path where I did now. So I had that chance to go overseas, to do psychology, which back then in my rugby days, my A level results, I don't even think I will qualify academically to go into a local U. So I had a chance to go overseas. And when I was in NS, I did a part-time diploma at night. When I had the time to book out 10 classes, I got supportive forces, and that's when I decided, you know what, I'm gonna take a switch and I'm gonna use the same rugby values and motivation I have to go and achieve something for myself. And my parents were like, "This is your last chance. After this, no more chance already. I can send you overseas, you can party all you want, but if you don't come back, good, that's on you already." Yeah, so I lucky lah, really lucky. Yeah.
Got it. But there's a lot of countries out. I mean, there's many countries.
Mm, mm,
There's London lah. There's a different area of the
yeah.
world.
Mm.
But out of many, why you choose Australia? Ah,
Convenience, closest to home. Yeah.
closest
I
to
don't.
home, eh? My
Yeah.
closest to home is JB Kai, eh? That one every month I will
No,
travel there. What is this?
when I see if you compare like Australia, US, UK, Canada, I think yeah, Perth was the closest to home back then. And
They say Switzerland is like the next nearest.
if I
Really?
got my own jet plane, it'd be the nearest. Flight,
Woo!
Yeah,
Why
but not in
not?
this lifetime.
Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay. So, okay, when was your first trip to Australia?
When I was really young, my parents brought me to Brisbane for my birthday. It was like 6 years old, six years old. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And it
Seasons,
was like
okay.
during the cold. I don't know why they brought me to Wet and Wild to go and play with the water. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, but I was lucky. Yeah, I went back then. I went to Brisbane. I went to Gold Coast. Yeah, for my first holiday. Don't
Ah,
remember a lot. Yeah, but I remember I rode the Batmobile on my birthday.
okay.
That was my birthday on the day. Yeah.
So for the next trip, that is more purposeful lah. When
Mhm.
was that? That's considered like you have a reason to go there.
When my
When was
brother
that?
was doing his high school in Australia. Yeah.
Ah.
So my brother went before me, although he's younger than me.
Oh.
I
Oh.
decided to do
Okay.
JC in Singapore.
Mm.
But he went straight after his secondary school days lah. Yeah. Then that's when we find a reason to visit him lah. Whenever I can. Yeah.
But do you feel that there's a calling when you reach Australia?
I think it was just convenience. Yeah,
Mm.
it was really convenient at that time. And I think, I mean, you have to be realistic lah. I mean, if the parents gonna send all three kids, you wanna stand somewhere near also, right? I think it'd be a bit cheaper in terms of accommodation, in terms of cost to travel. Yeah. So yeah.
Mm. Okay. So I believe you studied there, right? You went
Yep.
to Aussie to study. How long was that? How many years it took you?
So so it took me 5 years of my undergrad because I did a double degree. So I did 2 degrees
Mm.
concurrently. And then after that I went to Singapore to work, and that's when I met cool team like you and
The
Falala
A
and the
team,
gang. Yeah.
yeah.
And then after that I decided, okay, you know what, I'm gonna study even further because I want to upskill myself.
Yep.
So another 2 years. So 7 years. So this is my 8th year. Yeah. If you count that. Not together, but 8th year in Australia. Yeah.
Okay. So during that first 5 years, how do you
Mm.
feel to embark in a totally different culture and environment?
It's tough lah. I'm a mummy's boy. Um, I mean, you would know, right?
Yes. Ah,
I'm a mummy's boy, so first time going overseas was difficult. And I think back then my brother was back in Singapore for NS, so I was really alone there. I stayed in a hostel. Didn't really enjoy myself because I'm not the partying kind, so every night, kecho here and there. And then one time people do the fire alarm, everybody has to pay like a few $100s because of the fine. Didn't enjoy it. Then after that, I moved out. So when my brother came back to do his undergrad, then we all moved out together to a new place, to our own place. So I guess that's the savings. Yeah. So
but
yeah.
do you kind of get other experience besides studying there? Like, do you
So I
work
was
part time?
my undergrad days I was refereeing rugby there. Yeah. So I had the opportunity to officiate a game which is higher than Singapore standards. So I was very fortunate. And I went really all the way to the top in Western Australia at one point in time. So that was good. It really opens up your perspective of things. When you talk to someone who is probably not even to his shoulder, like your height not even close to his shoulder, he'll be
Oh
like,
my
you
god.
bend down, talk to me face to face. Then the father will be like, what you want? So like, yep, I'm the boss, I'm the referee, so this is a yellow card. That was good. It really teach you how to manage people, manage people's emotions, and give very clear instructions. Yeah, so it helped me. I enjoyed it. I get paid for it. So yeah, why not? Yeah. And then in my my postgrad days, I cannot work because I was still employed. Yeah, with the government. So the only work I could do was to teach. So I was teaching in uni. Yeah,
Wait a
social
minute. When you are
policies.
there,
Yeah, in when I did my postgrad. So for 2 years, I was also teaching some like tutorials in uni lah. So I was teaching organizational behavior, and I was teaching social policies for psychologists. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
do you really see that you work so hard to climb that, or is really by luck or opportunity that just right in front of us?
I think in life you have to take advantage of. You have to create opportunities for yourself, right?
Mm.
So when I was in uni, nobody knows who you are, right?
Yep.
But then that's when you get to know people. You get to know your lecturers first. I used to previously do this, that. We're like, oh, there's this opportunity coming up. Do you want it? Jump on it. But my rule to life is not everyday opportunities come to you. Sometimes you have to create it. And I think I always look to create opportunities. I mean, sometimes you fail, no doubt. Some opportunities don't work, but I mean, it didn't discourage me. So it's really about putting yourself out there. Yeah. To
Perhaps
deliver
if
once
you,
got us there.
yeah, yeah, man. So I think it would be, great if you could share what are the challenges you face as you during your, when you're 5 years studying there, and even your
Yep.
work life in Australia.
Yep. I think sorry, not the COVID it's just at night very cold yeah, very dry.
Sorry,
So
understand.
one of the I think the challenge. So I don't know whether it's a fortunate thing or not. I'm a minority in both places, in my own country, in Singapore. I mean, I'm a minority. When I moved to Australia, I'm also a minority. So I think that minority mindset really teaches how to survive and create things for yourself and embrace the challenges. It's not that we don't know the challenges, right? Sometimes we know. When you flip a coin, it's never 50-50, it's never 50-50, right? It's always 75-30 to you on a good day. And I guess that's where the challenge is. And the reality is, if as painful and as frustrating it is, you have to be twice as some days you just have to be twice as good as the other person just to get the same opportunity. And that's the reality. And that's why I like to, and I think that's why I like to throw myself out there. Really put myself out there, and then sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. But it's about, and I think for me, I'm a realist. So I know the situation I'm in. I know the barriers that I face sometimes. Especially sometimes now, being brown skin, being Muslim, do pose a challenge, right? In Australia, like it or not. It's about how do I process it. Speaking of it, just now I just went for a walk. I just had a racist encounter. Just about 2 hours ago when I went for my evening walk. So it happens, right? It's how you process it, as frustrating as it is. You just want to one time give, but this is not your country. And that's the reality of it. This is not my country in Australia, and respect it, lah. Although I disagree with some of the things that you do here, but you have to embrace it, right? If you want to live here, you can't expect to say, "Oh, I'm Melayu, so this is the way we live our life." In Australia, so I must enforce it. But how then do I accommodate? Some of my Melayu, so I order people. So I feel like people Melayu sometimes. Once in a while I visit my makcik, who's about 2 km away. Malaysian restaurant. Makcik roti canai. That's how we. And then when we meet her, stay a bit longer before COVID, talk about our culture, Hari Raya, and then she was very, very nice. So before Hari Raya, during the Ramadan month, so the day for Hari Raya, Cik, asyik masak sama-sama je, something special lah untuk Raya. And then she actually cooked lontong for me lah. Yeah, so I was like, roti john. And I was like, oh, okay. So it was really nice. Yeah, and I think you as much as, yes, you find security, right, in your Malay people in Australia, but I think don't just go inward and just stay within there, but really explore. And there will be challenges. That's the reality of life. Yeah, just be safe. So like just now, the fellow was trying to sneeze and cough at me and laugh at me. I was like, you know what, Kai? You have to pick your battles to win the war. This is not, I cannot win him and 2 other friends behind him. So I'm like, okay, keep walking. Angry lah, frustrating lah. You feel powerless lah. But if you let this define your experience in Australia, then it's gonna be a miserable time here. I was, whenever I feel this, I feel angry, but I still choose to think the many white friends I have who are supportive. Who check in on me in such experience, who will, call out if they are with me. So I'm still fortunate, and I choose to let those experiences define my time in Australia. Yeah.
Hey, talking about these incidents in Australia, last November I went to Perth. Hey,
Melbourne.
Melbourne lah.
I was supposed to visit you here, but I came later.
Yeah. So we walked past this station. It's quite famous because it's like a town area. Then we witnessed something. So this one guy is Asian, Asian guy. He's delivering food lah. So he's with the bike. We can immediately see the Grab container. What do you call that? The big box. The Grab big box. While he was riding that bike, and then there's few groups. It's teenagers lah. I believe they only about 16 years old or maybe younger than that. So there's about 3 or 4 of them. Mix. They also mix of Asian and other race.
Multicultural group.
Multicultural, yes. So they stop the bike. They stop the guy, and they take the food from him. And now I was like, hey, you can't do that, yeah. But he kind of hold me back because I'm not in my country. If I'm in my country, I'm gonna be the hero, man.
Yeah, excuse you.
Yeah.
And I think the young people here struggle with consequences.
Yeah.
They tend to get away with it most of the time. So
this one they don't get away. You know why?
Why?
Because our heroic Falala, believe it or not. Well, this is what she did. From far, she looked at them, the group. She
the stare.
The stare. What's to that? Like give back, return. That just hand language, and eyes. The fellow all got scared, and returned back.
But then again, we know that Falala's death scare is quite. I will be scared too.
It's like, oh, Falala, baik akak. Not bad because
social justice warrior lah. I think that's good lah. Yeah, I think that's good about Falala. She's very what her values are. She'll stand for it. Yeah. and make sure people who crosses it, she'll call it out lah. I think that's a strength. Yeah, which sometimes I struggle to do that, especially when I think about safety. I'm like, alamak, okay lah, okay.
No lah. I mean, you don't
Safety
want.
jalan. Yeah.
For us, there's 5 of us. So, but then again, for me, it's like it's not at our place to do something.
Yeah.
But thanks to Falala lah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well
Cool,
done,
man.
Farah. Yeah, it's scary lah. It's scary. Somewhere it's only two 2 blocks from my house. And the thoughts of it scares you, right? Like, if I go down, what happens if this fellow is here? Could he be probably homeless? And he wasn't well dressed or anything. So his clothes were quite dirty. He was very untidy. So when someone sneezed at me, I think what scares me the most that experience was not the racism, but the sneeze. What happens if it's COVID?
Betul? Yeah.
But it's like he sneezed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know which is.
Are they wearing masks at this point of time?
So as of this Thursday, it'll be compulsory. Yeah. Which is another whole problem. It's so interesting to see how people here, talk about this issue. Like in Singapore, very compliant, right? Like, government say wear mask, okay, all wear, right?
Wear.
Down here, people will be like, oh no, we cannot. You're anti-establishment, you're this, you're that, you're everything. I'm just like, oh, okay, I disagree, but this is a culture lah. So then your job is just to observe lah, and see how they, as a society, they try to navigate and make sense of this issue. You may not agree, but you have to respect lah. This is the way they do it here. Yeah.
But I think the reason being also they will always relate to human rights.
Yeah, they are big in that.
So yeah.
It depends lah. Like the country is big, so they are still quite divided. You have a group that really focuses on human rights and championing it, whereas you have others that the other thing the other way. And I think with COVID and all, I think everybody is gonna think inwards, right? Like in our last election, you already see, right? Everybody think inwards. So I think that's a challenging experience that we explore lah.
Got it. Right.
Tough.
Tough life, yo. Not easy.